Hey folks, I'm Walter with another audience poll for you, and this one's a little bit more open-ended. Before you took your first cruise, what was your biggest concern? You know, I've heard claustrophobia, I'm gonna be bored, I'm gonna get seasickness. Hey, Rocky and Mark, what about you guys?
So I would have to say that the thing that I was most nervous about for my first cruise was what is there to do? I had no idea what there was gonna be for me to do. I'm not a reader. What do you do for 7 days when you're out at sea?
And for me, very similar. I had heard from friends and coworkers how boring a cruise would be and how claustrophobic I was going to feel. Of course, none of these people had ever been on a cruise. Those are the ones that are always the most critical. And obviously, there's always something going on. And even when the ship is at capacity,
there's still things to do.
There's still things to do and places to find on your own.
Yes.
So that's what we were worried about before our first cruises.
It's always the people who have never taken a cruise who are gonna tell you how bad a cruise is going to be. Don't listen to them. Hey Sabrina, what about you?
I'm probably gonna have a very boring response to this question because I took my first cruise when I was 12 years old. If I'm honest with you, I was far too excited and too young really to have any pre-cruise worries, concerns, or even have any preconceived notions of what going on a cruise holiday would be like. So that is my answer. I didn't have any worries, or not that I remember, before going on my first ever cruise.
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. You know, as a kid, it's just a big adventure. I'm going on a new adventure, kind of like going to Disney World. Hey, Dom and Tom, what about you guys?
I think my biggest concern before my first cruise was what was I actually going to do on board. I was really apprehensive that I might actually be bored. However, that was definitely not the case. There are so many different activities on board to keep you entertained, and I was pleasantly surprised.
And mine probably was the age group of cruisers that typically you think cruising is for much more mature people, but we were proved totally wrong, and there is a mix of people across the board on all different ships.
That's a really good one about the age, especially for younger cruisers just coming in. It's like, oh, the whole ship's gonna be full of old people. I'm not gonna be able to connect to anybody. Ships have a wide range of people on them. No matter which cruise line, no matter what kind of a cruise, you're gonna find some cool people to hang out with. Now, for me, I was honestly afraid I was gonna be bored. You know, my wife really wanted to go on it, and we were on a 14-night cruise. What do I do for 14 nights? Turns out I couldn't do everything. There were still things on the ship that I wanted to do even after 14 nights. And certainly when we went to the ports, didn't have enough time to do everything I wanted to do. So we had to keep taking cruises and keep going back to those ports. So what about you guys? What was your biggest concern going into your first cruise? I'd love to hear it down in the comments below. Hey, I want to thank Rocky, Mark, Sabrina, Dom, and Tom for joining us on this episode. Now, if you haven't taken your first cruise yet, check out this episode for more information about what to expect in your first cruise. Hey, thank you so much for your support. Please subscribe, hit that little bell icon so that you'll be notified when we have more stuff on this channel.